Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to preview who's number 130. We are also going to break down the 4 title fights that happened this weekend on finishers. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine. To my co-host,
Corey.
How you doing, Corey?
Phenomenal, bro.
Good to be here, man. Happy to have you on this week. So,
Fun day Monday, bro.
it's Fun Day Monday. News this week. I realized we had like an hour pre-show as per usual. Didn't talk news at all. We talked format of the show.
Nope.
I don't think there's a lot of news going on this week. For some reason, 2 weeks ago when Josh and I did the podcast, we misread the Flow Grappling website for when who's number one was. And so we're like, oh, I don't know, we're going to preview next week. Talk about
Makes
UWW. Shout out to John Hansen. He took another UWW World Wrestling title. Big friend of the show, so awesome to see John win his 3rd title representing the U.S. out, and I think it was Kazakhstan this year, but I don't know. It's usually over in that region.
Okay.
So cool to see him do that. Who's number one is next week.
Yes.
We were talking about literally going out to Pittsburgh to go and do it, and we bobbled the dates. So luckily on time this week, we're going to preview who's number one. This is an Openweight GP, and usually Openweight GPs, it's usually no one under 180.
Right.
But you know,
you got some big boys in this.
Open weight,
Yeah, open weight.
is like that, and then the finisher stuff. So let's rip right into it. I want to preview who's number one. That's gonna be the lion's share of the show. We'll touch on finishers at the end.
Yeah.
Finishers, it was fun. Buddy Nick Wiley was on it. Renee Souza was on it. There's some fun matches to talk about. A nice heel hook to cover. 2 nice heel hooks to cover in the finals matches for the titles. Who's number one is doing something interesting. We're going to loop back to this later in the show. They're doing something called Call Your Shot, which is essentially how it's been described and how I understand it in reading about it, is you film a technique that you think you're going to beat everyone with, essentially. And this is how I understand it. I could be completely wrong about this because I didn't watch the video for it. I just read kind of a synopsis of what I understand is happening. You basically do what Gordon used to do. Film a submission that you want to hit, and then you try to go out and hit that submission. The other guy doesn't know what you're trying to hit. You're trying to win the match in general as well.
Awesome. That is awesome. That's awesome.
It brings another wrinkle into this because if you hit the thing you're going for, you get extra money. And they haven't really described and told us how much extra money it is, but it could be a negligible amount, could be more money. We don't know, but I do like that Flow is sort of getting and understanding, like leaning into making it a sports spectacle.
Yes.
Because grappling is never going to be a general like audience viewership. You need to have too much specific knowledge to understand it.
It's too niche.
Generally not fast paced enough to be like interesting for a broad audience, which is fine. I've made my peace with that many a moon ago, and I like watching professional grappling and other people that kind of do the sport but it's going to be hard to branch out. Even people that do grappling a lot of times don't want to watch it because you're just watching a regular match. I think these things like Call Your Shot where you have someone, hey, he's going to try to go for the sub. Okay, like it gives you another piece to buy into as opposed to this guy's trying to win a tournament.
Yep.
I've seen that. I know how that works. I've seen guys win tournaments. I've seen guys lose tournaments. But having a guy go into a tournament knowing like, hey man, he's going to get an extra like $1,000. I don't know how much it is. Like at Craig Jones Invitational too, it was $50,000 for any sub. This is like specific sub. So if you go and hit the sub that you are putting on the paper or putting in the video,
that's such a baller thing to do, man.
It is pretty baller.
And that adds so much more intrigue and just interest. So even for us, we're grapplers, we watch a lot of grappling, but just to know that someone can win X amount of money by calling out and doing a certain submission is like, shit.
This is sort of exactly what Gordon used to do, but Gordon used to be basically make his own money by then dropping a DVD. He would go, hey man, I hit a triangle, get my triangle DVD. And you're like, that's wild that you went and did that.
It just adds a whole nother level of just, they're going to be going for that submission, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because it's going to pad their pocket.
You'd be wondering, like, when Gordon would finish, like, hey, what's going to be in the box? Like, what's the sub he was going to say? Was it a triangle? Did he actually get the sub? Did he not get the sub? Like, with Pedro Mourinho realized, he's like, hey, you're trying to smother tap me? If I put my hands here and push, you're not going to get that. You'll get something else, but you won't get that. So I like this little fold of, like, it brings this whole tournament. It gives something different and new for this tournament. And on the broadcast, I'm curious because I doubt we are going to know. Because I think you keep it secret.
That would kind of take away from it a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to find out at the end, probably even, a guy wins the second match. at the end if that was the thing that he was going for. So it's interesting. I like that it brings something else. It makes me want to focus more on like, okay, man, this dude is hunting the triangle.
Yep.
It has to be a triangle. And you find out it's not a triangle. You're like, oh, it's great. It just, again, gives me another level of intrigue.
And then the question is, will they let the other grapplers know that was the move they were hunting for, or just the viewers at home?
I don't think they'll let either of us know. I don't think we'll find out to the end because you're not going to be able to keep it quiet. Let's say it's round 1, you have a sub. And then now you know his sub's the triangle. You're like, well, now I can defend it. It changes. But also, if you know a guy's sub ahead of time, how does that change the dynamic of the match? If
it totally changes it, especially if you know that if it's a $50,000 bonus.
Yeah,
you know, this
I don't think it's 50,000.
Well, even 20, 50, even 10. I mean, someone's going for that submission.
It wouldn't surprise me if Flo's like $1,000, but who knows? Flo is very, very cagey with its finances, so who knows how much money it could be, especially with some new leadership and general owners and general like running of Flo. It worked real well for day 2 for CJI.
Yes, it did.
So I like.
Yes, it did.
And when we've talked about this back and forth for years. We'll kind of get off this point quickly, but generally speaking, money for subs generally doesn't have much of an outcome on the match. Like the guy who is going to win is still going to win. But what it does do is it makes suddenly like if a guy like my best example is Giancarlo versus Ronaldo Jr. It's like Giancarlo was going to win that match at CJI, but he was gunning for the sub because there was money on the line. It's 50K on the line. He's like, hey, man, I can beat Ronaldo. But if I beat him, put him away, I make 50 grand. Like he is now suddenly incentivized to not just win the match, but maybe when he could just ride the back out or like holding and play more or offensively sound, he's willing now to sell out for something because there's money on the line. And so it's...
Yeah, because before, Giancarlo's probably going to win this. It's going to be a question of how, but then you're like, okay, by the way, if you sub him, you get 50 grand. Well,
Giancarlo's like, well, I know I can beat him.
You know I can beat him.
Now I think I can also sub him.
Sub him.
Yeah, and so we talked about it for years. And like, if you watch MMA, like, oh, I'll give them more money if they finish. It's like, dude, guys, professional fights, they're trying to win by whatever means that they can. They're not going to overextend themselves on the off chance they get a knockout bonus. Like, that's just not... If he can knock him out, he's going to knock him out.
Yeah.
They have to play to the edges of the margins of winning that fight.
For sure.
And usually, like, more money to finish is just not going to... You're at the higher levels, it just doesn't change how guys fight because winning is so important that, like, they can't afford to take that extra risk if it is outside of their game plan. And so it just usually in, like, MMA, winning for subs or finishes is like a bonus. It's like you can't tie it to, like, a purse because the guy just has to win and outright. That's more important. So... But in grappling,
sometimes those bonuses are worth more than whatever other else you're trying to shoot for.
Yeah,
you know,
it adds an interesting fold into grappling, and so I'm happy that Who's Number One is kind of shaking it up for that. So with that information, we'll talk about more at the end of the show, rule set and like how this kind of plays into Who's Number One's overall strategy for what they're doing, and kind of again harkening back to the success they had with Gordon doing this constantly. It's just very interesting. So let's talk about the 8-man GP. Let's lead off with it. Who's Number 130 Openweight GP? 8 guys. We got Dante Leon, Roberto Jimenez, Achilles Rocha, Declan Moody, Felipe Costa, Little Orange, who you texted me, and you were like, "Dude, is this guy born in 1978?" And you're like, no, this is the ADCC guy, and you're like, "Yeah, I can't find his record on BJJ Heroes."
Yeah, it was such a strange moment.
It's funny because Miranda and I have had the exact same problem before. So you texted me that, and I giggled because I went, "Yeah, Felipe Costa." For some reason, he is specifically hard to find sometimes. If you're trying to like Google through or BJJ Heroes him, because there's another guy of the same name that's a much older competitor.
Yes. And I'm like, I don't think that's the guy that's going
He's
almost as old as I am.
Not born in 78. No. So Felipe Costa is on here. Michael Sainz is on here. Pat Shahgholi is on here. And Justin Michael is on here. So I actually saw Pat Shahgholi. Shahgholi. I'm going to butcher his last name, even though I interviewed him at trials before. Dude is not a heavyweight anymore.
He's kind of leaned out a little bit, right?
Yeah, like a lot of it. Like I think we talked, and he was doing 88 for trials.
Okay.
Like he is not the kind of the heavy set kid he was. I think he's like 22 now. He's like early 20s.
Yeah.
Again, not an 88er, not a 99 or not a plus 99er. He's like a slim, like stocky kid now.
Nice.
Like an early 20-year-old. It was very funny to see. Like I think Miranda pointed him out, and he's like, "That's Pat," and I went, "Oh, no shit. He looks like completely a different guy." So it'll be interesting. he is probably going to be one of the smaller guys in this bracket.
Wow.
Now, which
Okay.
is interesting.
This is a flip from the past.
I think Achilles may be
cool.
smaller, but Roberto's bigger. Dante is probably going to be the smallest guy in this bracket. I'm
I
not
think so.
super familiar with
Justin Michael.
or Michael Sainz. Justin Michael is the qualifier winner that won, which again, I love. I've talked about it for years. I love guys that win qualifiers and like having a qualifier in any open weight bracket or any bracket you have. Just throw a qualifier in there. Just give a chance for a random dude who's on the level to show up, like Junior Ocasio.
Craig
wins
Jones.
like a side qualifier.
Craig Jones, right?
Well, he won
out of nowhere.
He won trials, but yeah, out of nowhere, like Pedro Mourinho won a Kasai qualifier at Purple Belt. Who else? Like other examples, there's Marcin Matulowicz wins an early Polaris trials. Like guys that go on to do really great and impressive things at the lower belts aren't a lot of times given those opportunities for these major cards like this. Right. And a lot of times they're on the level or they're close to the level. They can win these qualifiers and then it puts them on that big stage and gets odds. So I really appreciate, it's why I love ADCC so much because they have an open trials. Hey man, if you think you're the guy, go win your division and you get a shot at the world title, the world championship. And I there's something really, really important and special, I think, about that. So I appreciate that Who's Number One is doing it here. And Justin Michael is the qualifier. Again, I don't know a ton about him. I wasn't actually able to see the qualifier that he won. But again, guys that win qualifiers are usually uniquely motivated to go and do these things. And so they don't usually win.
Nope.
But
they have some intrigue.
But they always impress me because you're like, oh, this dude has some real talent. And now he is on the radar in a way that, again, that's the whole point of winning a qualifier is it puts you in the mix with these world champion level guys. And I like that. So let's run through an order. The order we kind of went through. Go through some accolades. Dante Leon. I don't have to say a ton about Dante Leon. He's listed here as middleweight. Him as 180. Dante Leon has fought like 55, 70, 85. He does open weight, not infrequently at IBJJF. What's his? Do I have this? I have notes here. I always get Dante's ADCC record wrong. I think it's 4th in 2022, and then he wins 3rd in the open weight in 24.
Right.
I think that is correct.
I think you're right. I think you're correct.
I mucked him up. I had him as silver, but apologies to Dante.
You do a much better job now, dude. I don't remember any of those.
Dude, I get it wrong. I get it wrong. Job, but I also get it wrong enough where the most embarrassing thing is like occasionally getting a DM from a listener, and they'll be like, hey man, you always say I got this years ago because I kept messing up Dante's record, and the guy was like, hey man, this is actually his record, and I went, oh cool, and then I remember getting that DM, and I've now forgotten the correction in the DM, and I'm like, that makes it so much worse because I got it wrong long enough for someone to DM Grappling Rewind to go, hey man, and then I forgot the correction. So apologies, Dante. It's Dante Leon. I think he has one of the best guards in the world at like 155.
Yeah.
Plays a great R guard. He plays a good underhook guard. Like, just incredibly hard to deal with. Good, serviceable wrestling. He is ridiculously strong. He posts weightlifting videos of him, like, pressing 110-pound dumbbells.
He's pretty flexible.
As a 55er.
I mean, he has all the physical attributes to really just do anything.
Dude, I wish he would go back to his purple belt knee bar game a little bit. Because I remember watching him years ago when he was a purple belt. And he had this really nifty, kind of like what Elizabeth Clay does with a knee bar. Okay. That inverted knee bar, similar to Oliver Taza with that inverted knee bar. He would play that on, he would just murder guys with it. And I'm thinking, as a smaller guy, it seems like, because his guard is so good, it seems like there's more opportunity. We see it occasionally.
Especially with the person next, especially with Roberto Jimenez. Because he's kind of susceptible to leg locks.
We say that.
But he's improved.
He's improved a lot. Like, a lot. A ton. But when Roberto's like 18 or 17, or when he first started covering, he was purple and brown. When he was a guy out of Texas. The key was like, hey, man, you get on Roberto's legs, you can beat him. And then he goes to Unity in Studio 76, and he, like, suddenly is quite difficult to leg lock. And really the old problems that he had are not as much of an issue anymore. Like, and the problem is with Roberto, the thing he was always the best in the world at, which is that double under body lock back take, is still there, and now Roberto is at 190 plus pounds.
Yeah, question is, which Roberto do we see? You know, will we see both of those at the same time?
Yeah, I don't know.
We shall see him going after a very competent leg locker like Dante Leon. I think he's probably drooling right now. If he gets that draw, if he draws Roberto, because
I don't know. The weird thing is, how would you bracket this? Because we usually don't preview these because we don't have bracketing. So we go like, well, is Roberto going to go against Dante versus Achilles or Declan? Like, I think the narrative of Roberto having bad leg lock defense is older. Again, watching a guy like Declan heel hook Roberto wouldn't surprise me. He has been less susceptible.
Agreed.
In the last couple of years,
Agreed. Very much so.
I
agree with that.
Once and all, if it was a hole in your game at one point, it is not uncommon to see those creep up, especially if you focused into other areas. Yeah. An area of weakness sometimes will crawl back in. But again, it is real interesting. I think Roberto will be able to keep one of the higher paces in this entire tournament.
Yes, that's true. If he can put a pace on someone and attack, I mean, depending on how he's attacking, they may not be able to get his legs. But then again, if he goes against someone like Declan Moody,
there has the size, but also can definitely stop the back take. Yeah. So areas of strength. Dante's got a crazy guard, good leg locks, decent wrestling, great guillotine game, very strong for his size, but again, maybe a little undersized for this. Probably Dante sits right in the middle to the lower end of this bracket. Roberto Jimenez, best double unders back taker in the world, really good rear naked choke. We're talking about what sub guys are going to pick. Yeah. I would put money on Roberto Jimenez having selected the rear naked choke.
Oh, yeah, he better. That's his bread and butter,
That's like the best thing. He's one of the best guys in the world at getting in the back and finishing that. He's just amazing. Go back and watch, if you're unfamiliar with Roberto's game, go back and watch his match with Roosevelt Souza. If you want to see how he deals with big guys. He had a match, I want to say it was the 2023 or 2024 Nogi Worlds Absolute. Here in our notes, it says 2023. I thought it was more recent than that, but it might have been 2024 or 23 Nogi Worlds Absolute at IBJJF. He goes against Roosevelt Souza, who just won Pans last weekend versus Gaudio in that weird match. Also won his division as well. To watch Roberto be heavily undersized and the speed and like pace that he can put on a guy like that. Even like you realize, Roberto's almost 200 pounds in this match to be able to move that speed.
That was a weird match. I'm sorry. You just kind of took me back
with the Gaudio match?
Yeah, the Gaudio match. I'm like, what the heck?
I think you talked about it, and not that non sequitur here hard, in the chat. In our team chat for Grappling Rewind, you watched it, you were like, what am I seeing here? we had this big, long, multi-paragraph of just like, I still, like, after the episode came out, we were still discussing, like, I don't know what happened here.
I think he might have been called for fleeing the mat,
I think that's not unreasonable, I think, but who knows what the IBJJF...
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just, we're talking about Roberto, we're talking about Roosevelt Souza. It comes up. On to the next guy, Achilles Rocha. So Achilles Rocha, Wagner Rocha's, I was going to say oldest son, only son, youngest son, oldest son.
Correct and correct.
Achilles, new black belt. He wins Nobi. He wins Nogi Worlds at Brown. He wins Gi Worlds too, maybe. I don't remember exactly. Achilles is leg lockable. I am concerned with Achilles' body because he is always so heavily taped up and he's 18. I am just concerned with like how well he's holding up because he's been really taped up. I remember seeing him was 15 and 16. Just really looks really, really beat up for a guy of his age. Has had some tough matches at trials, has looked really good. He was at ADCC with him and his sister and his dad. It was cool to see the whole family there. Achilles is good all around, but will sometimes have off matches.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's his youth kicking in because he's still young. 18, 19 years old. He's still a very young man. So even though he's been on the mat since he was a baby, probably, I'm assuming, but still, he still has like a very young game compared to some of the more gristle veterans, in my opinion.
That's
which kind of opens the game up to mistakes a little bit. And like he relies heavily on his physicality and his athletic.
And he'll overextend himself a little bit in places where, and sometimes he can just kill you for it. Yeah. You're like, oh, cool. He'll get you in a running battle and then just jump on something. I mean, he has that armbar over Cameron Couch where he like throws him over the overhead. Who's number one? And gets it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, cool. Like he has these flashes of brilliance where you're like, okay, it's there. I can see it,
But it's not consistent.
but it's not consistent, and that's the question for a tournament like this where it's Roberto is, unless you can like lock him, super consistent, man.
Yes.
Dante,
Super
any of the guys that have those IBJJF titles, even the ADCC titles, like
Yes.
you just have to have a level of consistency to get to those big tournaments, and that's always sort of been Achilles' problem is he has these brilliant moments in matches.
Kind of like someone else that in this event that we're going to talk about a little later. Very inconsistent.
Yeah. It has these great moments,
Yeah.
and then we'll have an inconsistency. Like that's always my concern with picking Achilles nowadays is because he just hasn't shown that level of consistency across multiple matches against that super high level talent
Yes.
to be able to perform repeatedly to
Correct.
get there. And
Yet. I'm sure he will.
yeah, and that's the kicker is like
he'll get there.
with these younger guys, you always kind of go, well, yeah, like Roberto had all these problems with leg locks. He'd have kind of a similar he'd take his foot off the gas and he'd get caught in something, and then now he's 25.
Yep.
And it's just not a problem anymore.
Just at the beginning of COVID, we see him compete every weekend. Remember?
Yeah, it was all the time. Like
All the time,
It's
and then
just
you see his game
not
grow.
a problem. So I think Achilles again with his dad and his sister in the room, like he will get there and have that level of consistency. But I'm just curious when we'll see it.
I tell you what, if he has it during this tournament, he's gonna be a hard out. He's gonna be a very difficult person to
That's
get
the
out
thing
there.
is like he's so hard. He is a guy that I think would be difficult to study for because his matches are so inconsistent. You kind of have to really play which Achilles are you going to get?
Yep.
And then if you game plan it right, boom, I think he's very beatable. But if you don't, and he brings something different or new to the hip because he's so young,
Yep.
then you're then fighting against a thing you didn't plan for, and that's sort of
Agreed.
it gets interesting.
Yeah, his game is still evolving.
Yeah,
It really is, because I don't know, like what is he known for as far as like submissions? I have.
he's
no
got decent wrestling. He plays on the outside.
But submissions though, like what submissions? I don't know. I guess it remains to be seen.
Yeah, I know more of like a choke and an arm guy. Like that's what I'm familiar with. But you said you put Achilles in front of me. I'm like, okay, what does he sub guys with? I'm like, what's available? Like, he's got good arm bars is what I know him for. But those are because he's had some highlight reel arm bars. Yeah. I don't really think about like his heavy pressure wrestling. Like that's not really. I think he's a young man that has really dynamic game and will jump on your arm when you give it to him.
Yeah.
Next one. Again, we kind of beat these guys down into kind of, I think, the elements that are going to be the most prevalent. Back to Achilles for 1 second. What sub does he pick? Right? That's sort of a question of these guys are going to pick a sub and are going to go for that sub. And you know that they're going to play their game.
Yep.
But they're going to try to funnel into that sub maybe a little more than they would.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm curious for a guy like Achilles who maybe is a little more mosaic in the way he approaches the game, that might, in an interesting way, kind of make him focus down and might be way more dangerous. He's hunting a specific thing and kind of not looking to take the match wherever it's offered, but looking to sort of railroad the match into what he wants.
And no one really not knowing what he's good for.
Yeah, you're like an X factor of like, hey, what's Achilles gonna pick and what's Wagner gonna pick in his corner there? Because like Wagner's a master strategist. You're like, that's
pretty much.
It suddenly throws a weird wrench into the whole tournament.
Wasn't throw the muffler choke in there? I mean, add that
Python. Yeah, dude, that'd be hilarious. Yeah. If Achilles move is the Python. Jesus. So moving on. Let's hear anything on these guys. Declan Moody had a B team. ADCC Oceanic Trials winner. Go back and watch him on CJI. Was very impressive. Had some good matches. Declan is in something recently. He looked great at the Giles Trials. Like, go back and watch him on that. Just like, not uncompetitive matches with everyone else, but just like very clearly world talent. He just won Trials. That's what it was. He just won the first Asian and Oceanic Trials for ADCC.
Not bad.
Like,
not bad at all.
He's good everywhere. He's big. He's strong. He's fast. I think he probably goes for heel hook.
Oh yeah, he's
his move that he's selected.
Yeah, he's definitely becoming more of a leg guy. He kind of plays almost like a smidge of a small man's game too. He's fast. He's very.
He
fast
used to be a smaller guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So he plays like.
Sorry, you go.
No, go ahead.
His game reminds me a little bit of like Victor Hugo.
Yeah.
In like a big man play small man game.
Yeah, exactly.
But also actually have really good jiu-jitsu and good understanding of where and how to move his body and how to play with the attributes that he has. He's a good back taker. He throws his hooks in well. He'll go to the legs. He goes to the legs well. The control he has on the knee line is good.
The details, which is a very uncommon of most big guys.
Which Josh and I were talking last week about, like, the big guys aren't the big guys they used to be. He's another guy, I think, that falls into that realm of the big guys aren't the big guys they used to be. We now have big, technical, fast, big guys. We were talking about Brandon Reed on Grapple Fest last week of like, man, the 250-pound guys aren't slow and lumbering like they used to be. They're lightning fast and they're freak athletes. Declan Moody kind of, again, it falls into that realm of, you're a big, strong guy, but also have the technique of a smaller guy, of all the guys now. And it's an interesting fold. I think he is the easiest guy to pick because you can go back and watch his trials run, 2 months ago, and you can go, that's what Declan looks like. That's where he is. You can look at a CGI. He's a guy with a lot of footage recently at high levels.
Yeah.
So he is, I think, a really easy guy to like kind of game plan and know what he's going to bring. Leg locks and the passing. I think are the two biggest things that Declan brings to it. If you let him pass you, he's happy to pass, happy to work on top. But I think if a passing becomes a problem, and in this rule set, that arm triangle is good for him as well. That's the other thing we could see him. We could see him kind of hunt towards. And in this tournament, being one of the bigger guys, having a top pressure submission like that wouldn't surprise me either. Having like an arm triangle that he wants to go to.
He can kind of go to. You saw that fight, but that match he had with Wojcik and CJI.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like strength on strength, like leg locker on leg locker.
Yeah.
And it was just, you saw his level of proficiency there. And it's like, it was pretty impressive.
So that's one of the matches I pinned back to for him. Of like, okay, that's kind of why I think that he'll go legs versus go top side, like head and arm. Yeah. Because he just has looked so proficient recently in that. And given again, you're in a tournament with guys that are smaller though, where you're gonna be on the bigger side of some of the guys. Even though it's an open weight tournament, you're gonna be on the bigger side and definitely bigger in stature than most of the guys. Yeah, huge. Similar to Felipe Costa, who's listed here as lightweight, but that's I think I pulled the wrong data in. I think Felipe Costa's 88 because he had Giancarlo at ADCC, and he would have cut to make 88, so he easily walks around above 200 there.
Gotcha.
So Declan, I think we know Declan. I'm guessing Declan is going to go into the legs, but also immediately you see Declan passing and pressure passing, you're like, oh well, he chose head and arm. It'd be my guess. Next one in the bracket, we have Felipe Costa, Little Orange. After some going back with Corey, it was when figuring out like we had the right Little Orange. I interviewed him, so my picture for my team for the Hopkins Club is in our group chat is me interviewing him, and I just always think it's really funny because I'm like, but the picture. I was like, that picture's not really online. It's just that profile picture of me on stage interviewing him after he won Copa Elite 2, I think. Again, I love the story. Zach and I were doing commentary, and Dimitri, who's the runner for Copa Elite and the owner of it, went, hey, this guy came in from Brazil on late notice. He said, we can come on late notice. He flew in. And then I was like, that's weird. I wonder who this guy is to win this cash prize tournament. And then it's Felipe Costa, who's a relatively unknown brown belt because he wasn't a black belt yet. He was a purple, like a new brown belt or late purple. I think he was brown belt. And then wins the tournament. And I'll get a chance to interview him on the mat because he wins the cash, and then goes on to win trials, place at ADCC, and you're like, okay, he was real good at the time, and it makes sense. It makes sense that he can win this Virginia tournament, this cash prize division for this Virginia tournament. But I've watched his career with great intrigue. He's another guy that I don't necessarily know what he's gonna look for. Like my default for these guys, I think is just rear naked choke. Like, you pick rear naked choke. Like that's percentage wise, heel hook or rear naked choke. Yeah. The most likely submission just by the numbers that you're gonna get. You have control, or you have like limited control, and you can gun for it for a heel hook. Like those are, if you look at if you look at the Grappling Conjecture, which is a guy and a website that breaks down all of the techniques across all of the tournaments, like any major event, like he'll have a breakdown for this. Highly recommend you go back and you find his stuff either on Instagram or on the website. He posts on Reddit. He has big pie charts at the end of a big event like this. Cool. And it'll be like, here's the breakdown of all of the subs. And it's nice to see an actual statistical breakdown of, here's your decisions and DQs and injuries. Here's your heel hooks. Here's your rear naked chokes. And usually those are the majority of the pie chart.
Makes
It's
sense.
nice to kind of have data that we know that, but it's nice every major professional event to have that data back it up to go, okay, with the grappling conjecture, put everything together.
Yep.
And this is actually where the data falls. So I'm kind of inclined to think Felipe Costa is going to go for Renica choke, but that's more so of just I'm just less
just a
familiar
gut, huh?
with his game.
Just a gut call. Yeah, I'm not familiar with him at all.
He's
The guy I thought, like I said, the guy who I thought he was is like 45. Like I'm almost as old as I am. So I'm like, yeah, it's not
When you
him.
look
So
the
I don't
records
know this guy.
He's fast, he's good, he's young, he's under 6 blades. So again, he's not a dark horse in this by any means. Because again, you place at ADCC.
Yeah.
You know, he beats Couch at ADCC. He beats Elder Cruz that year. He only loses to Giancarlo. He beats Wojcik for 3rd.
I mean,
So that's why Wojcik got 4th. Because he's real good.
He's in that air. He's in that air. I mean,
Yeah.
where he has a puncher's chance. Obviously, if he didn't, he wouldn't be in this tournament.
Yeah.
You know.
So the last other big name in this is Pat Shahgholi. We talked about him. He's the finishers champion, multiple weight finishers champion. Pat's a very polarizing guy online. He's known for just gunning for subs and ripping on legs.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of flack for it. It's kind of like, I think maybe a little undeservedly, maybe because sometimes the guys at the level that he's doing it to are like, yeah, Pat's obviously the better guy here, and he's really ripping through some guys that are more local, regional guys, and Pat's looking to be on that national stage.
Plus, he was younger, right? He's still in his early 20s.
Yeah, he was 16 doing this.
Yeah,
It's
so
like you're fighting adults, and also there is no rule
That you
in a
can't do it.
tournament that you have to take a slub slow enough that the guy can tap before you hurt him. It's just not a rule. It's an etiquette thing.
Yeah.
But
But
it's not a rule.
once again, he was 16, 17.
But
But he's still like very young. You just don't
Even
know.
as 25, you're like, I'm not to, I'm not a huge fan of, guys getting hurt in tournament, but also like the Gianni Grippo versus my buddy Ellis. Like, we just rips the leg. You're like, yeah, man, it's legal. Johnny's not going to get that sub unless he guns for it at that speed.
Sure.
That is a legal submission in that tournament. You can't be mad at it. You can't be mad that the guy did a legal sub. ADCC, the guy slams him. You're like, yeah, man, that is allowed in that tournament. That's in the rule set that you're allowed to do. So I think Pat gets a little bit of grief unnecessarily because he like guns hard and fast for subs and he hurts guys. But you're competing against him. If he grabs your leg, man, and you're not ready or don't have the level of defense that you will need to defend a sub at that speed, man, then
Yeah, he got tapped.
you got to tap. So,
Well, I think one thing is, I think his game has matured some. I guess, I guess when he really got on everyone's radar, is what, 16, 17?
I think so, yeah.
And
Because
he's
we
very
saw him at
young
trials.
and-
He had rough matches when he went to trials.
And let's be honest,
You're
knowing
young.
BJJ is like having a superpower. So imagine you were 16, man, and being as good as he was when he was 16. You probably ripping guys.
Mid-30s. I'm not
You
as
probably
good
be
as he
ripping
is.
people's knees too. Not
I would
to hurt.
definitely be ripping these. I knew
Yeah.
how I was at blue belt, and when I did the guys in tournaments at blue belt, because I'm like, he assumed he's doing it to me, and I look back as a black belt now, and I'm like, he deserved it, but I also then didn't have the skill to like take the gas off some of those where it's like I'm not gonna get this armbar unless I gun for it. So it's like,
and that's, that comes with maturity and
Yeah.
time. So imagine just being 16 with a superpower. I mean, I understand it, and I'm sure it probably wasn't malicious, but yeah, he was a scary guy to grapple against.
Dude, online,
at 16.
he is still like he has a plethora of haters. And again, talking to him, super nice guy. I got a chance. I did an interview with him at West Coast Trials after day 1. It'll be really curious to see him coming in from, I think the last time we've seen him compete was at heavyweight. Now he's going to be like 200 pounds. Yeah. He's got to be 40 to 60 pounds lighter. When I saw him, like, he is way slimmed down. He's grown to his body.
Nice.
It'll be interesting to see, because primarily he was a bigger, younger, real quick underhook heel hooker.
Yeah.
Like, that was his game. I am really curious if A is a smaller guy, if the game is the same, well, the speed's going to be faster.
Yeah.
He's not going to have the mass to kind of put behind like he used to, but he's, in a couple of years, he's gotten better. He's probably gotten more competent as a finisher.
Sure.
He probably is now quicker as a smaller guy. He's stronger because he's older. So if his game has stayed exactly the same, I think he's even more dangerous, which is nifty and interesting.
Yes, it is interesting.
If his game has changed,
That's interesting too.
On their side, it's like, okay, cool. So now, like, maybe he's not an outside heel hooker, maybe he's an inside, or maybe now he's, looking for the knee bar, or he's looking for top position. Right? Like, it is. I'm very curious to see how Pat looks in this tournament, just because, again, I have not seen him as not a true heavyweight.
And I haven't seen him compete since he fought Mason Fowler.
Yeah, was Fight Pass. Was that Fight Pass Invitational?
I think it was Fight Pass Invitational.
And that was one with Nicky Rod in it, and Big
so.
Dan was in that, or dropped. Luke Griffith was in that, I think. That was a really fun tournament, and Mason Fowler, like, very clearly showed that, like, Mason Fowler was way better at the time. But again, Shahgholi was a kid.
Yeah.
So that was the last big tournament that I remember seeing Pat in.
Same here.
So I'm really
curious to see how he's progressed. I'm looking forward to this.
It'll be very interesting. It would be very funny to have him just go on a leg breaking spree again. Like, oh man, he's better now. And then see him go into trials at 88 and do the same thing. So that's Pat. Two other guys in the tournament that I'm less familiar with. We have Michael Sainz from Alpha Miami Grappling, 19-year-old, listed as a lightweight, 170, 168.
Didn't we see him in a previous
was
it finishers? We saw him in some. We covered him before.
For some reason, I think it's pit submission is when I covered him.
That could be that one too.
And I'm blanking on the last time we covered him. I don't know a whole lot about him, and as soon as I see him, or Miranda hears the episode, she's gonna go, man, it's this guy, and I'm blanking on him.
Of course, because she keeps receipts, man.
Yes, she does, and it's phenomenal to have on the team for that. We also have Justin Michael, who's the guy that's 10th on that qualifier. We talked about him earlier. Those are your two big dark horse guys in your tournament. I think for me, this tournament is, things it doesn't surprise me to see. Dante, Roberto, Declan, or Felipe. Those four guys are your top four seeds. In what order you want to put them, I do not know. Because Roberto has had success at openweight, is a bigger guy. Dante has had success at openweight, is not as necessarily a bigger guy, but it hasn't seemed to matter at openweight. Declan has had success at openweight. We saw him in the Jaws trials have success at openweight. That was technically under, but functionally for him, it's like, you're at the top weight class. And then Felipe Costa, 88 kilo, still, again, similar size to Roberto.
Yeah.
But again, South American trials winner, medalist at ADCC. Those are my top four. Seeing the other four guys in the mix, so I think you're going to bracket in the corners.
I agree with
those
that.
guys will be your corners, and then Justin Michael, Pat Shahgholi, Michael Sainz, and Achilles Rocha will be on your other corner.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting bracket. I think anything other than that bracketing would probably be, I would say, not good bracketing. Yeah, I'm going to be happy with how, because we're going to see the matches we're going to see.
But that'd be a disservice to at least a couple of matches if it's not done that way.
I just think those are the guys that have your biggest IBGGF wins at Black and have your biggest ADCC wins, which are your two, again, your premier tournaments. This is a no-gi GP. You look to your no-gi big tournaments. I think that's, and then CJI with Declan and Roberto. I just think that that's a much more realistic and better bracketing scenario.
I have a question for you. So
go for it.
What is one match that you want to see? I got one in mind that I would like to see.
I want to see the rematch of Roberto and Dante, but that's just because I want to see the rematch, and I think that's different.
That's right, because Roberto beat Dante last time.
I think so, and that was
WNO number 5, WNO 5.
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah,
but that was, again, Roberto was smaller.
Yeah,
Dante was smaller back then. Different. I think it was also a different Roberto. What year was that? Do you have a year on that?
2020.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Different game.
You're like, kind of different. Dante, I think, is very much a similar product. And he's just refined what he's really good at. Roberto has animal. Really not the same guy he was in 2020.
And I think he was like a newly minted, like a no-gi guy there, right, in 2020. He was mostly gi leading up to him for the most part, right? At least what I saw him in. He was a lot of gi.
He did both. He did both. Yeah. Okay. I know. I remember him as both. He still does the gi, which is really fun. We don't cover him in the gi as much, but he does still pop into the gi, like, not infrequently. He does like IBJJF and like opens and stuff. So
crazy. He just pops a gi on and just goes, just murders people.
I love it. I love
That's
it.
Awesome.
So is Felipe Costa. Felipe Costa is, I think of Felipe Costa primarily as a gi guy.
Okay.
And then just wins no gi stuff. A match I really want. Dante and Roberto is the one I want to see, but I'm really curious about. I don't want to see Declan, Roberto, Shahgholi really against any of these guys, because I want to see how much he's improved is really the question.
Yeah.
Is like
Yes.
nice factor of like he's lower weight. Like he each has the most changes in his game. I think seeing him versus a guy like Felipe Costa, where it's like,
see that.
hey man, Costa's gonna try to pass, Shahgholi's gonna gun for the legs. Like how Brazilian prospects with suspect leg defense is a question as old as time.
Yes, it is.
And if there's anyone who's gonna exploit, a weakness in
will be Pat
legs,
Shahgholi.
it'd be Pat. I think Declan versus Felipe. I kind of don't want to see that because I think that Felipe's game pairs up poorly with. I like Declan. I think Felipe's game pairs up poorly with where Declan wants to take the match, and I think Felipe potentially is going to be a little quicker towards the back on that. And it's not going to be like Declan versus Felipe Pena, but it reminds me of like because Little Orange doesn't have quite the size that Pena has.
Okay.
But I think like the game could potentially get funneled in a similar direction to that. And I don't want to see that match again. So do you have a match?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what's your match you want to see? Well, I just kind of
Declan
walk in
versus
circles.
Pat Shahgholi. I would like to see that. I want to see
The leg lock battle.
I want to see the leg lock battle. Yeah, I think that's going to be very interesting because Pat Shahgholi, I can only imagine his leg game is probably improved.
Oh, that would be really fun.
And Declan, he has a
good leg game.
Good leg game, right?
So you're gonna get a shootout with that kind of. I kind of want to see that now.
I kind of want to see that two big guys. You know what I'm saying? Just
Bracketing.
really
And if Pat
going
can beat
after it.
Declan, then he moves through into the second there.
I think if
that'd be
Pat
fun.
beats Declan, I think he's going to be in the final. I think he's going to be a tough out. I think he's going to be a tough out. Just for me, 'cause, the amount of, just think about that. You go on and you sub this guy, and you're like, holy crap.
He can do it.
He can do it.
Because I don't think he wouldn't have been able to a couple of years ago. Like we saw that in the Fowler match. We saw that at Fight Pass Invitational. It was like, just didn't quite have the tools he needed. But if he can now, and again, I think
he's my dark horse.
Declan on paper there, I think takes that.
Oh, on paper, yeah. But I will give Pat
in reality,
a puncher's chance. He's the dark horse, man. I think he's the one that could take it. Once again,
that'd be fun.
If that's his move, or I don't know, straight ankle or outside heel. If that's his move that he's going for,
and you going for it fast enough, man.
You going for it fast enough.
And he does.
You know he does. It's game over. So that for me, that's intriguing. That's the most
that
intriguing
really,
match.
It's a wrench into everything. So
or maybe even Shahgholi Roberto. Same thing, even more so towards Shahgholi.
That would actually be really interesting because it's like can he capitalize on old school Roberto for the legs? I think Roberto in the pacing of Roberto, I would be curious if he can get Shahgholi's back like Fowler did.
Got it.
I'd be very curious if that same transition can happen, or if Shahgholi can get to the legs again. He's the big dark horse because we haven't seen him in a couple of years.
I just don't want him snapping legs, man. I don't like that.
At the top level, if you can do it, man, I'm curious. I'm curious to see if you can do it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if he can do it, but I'm like, hope he pull it back a little bit. Just pull up a little bit.
So in your eyes here, who's your front runner? Who's your big guy? Who's your guy you think like I think he's gonna take it?
I think Declan. I think this is Declan's to lose.
I think it's Declan or Roberto. I don't know why. I just think Declan. I want Declan to win because I like the guys. I like the guys of V team, and I like it when non-Brazilians and Americans win stuff. If we're serious, like I think it does good stuff for the sport. I think Declan being an Australian dude coming over, showing that like hey, we are due for another dope Australian man to come forth and give us exciting shit.
Yeah.
Be the guy. Be the new Craig Jones, Declan. That sort of just from a narrative. That's kind of why I'm pushing for Declan. Just not as an analyst, but just as a fan.
Sure.
Like again, seeing Dante wouldn't surprise me. Roberto. All these guys can take it. All these guys are here for a reason. They all bring a level of skill here, and who's number one is a wild, and it's sometimes an odd tournament with the way it's scored. All of these guys, even like Michael Sainz, Justin Michael, like have the skill set to take this tournament.
Yep.
If they play their cards right and the bracketing works out in a favorable way, the who's number one rule set is just odd. If you pull a Pedro Mourinho versus Giancarlo and just keep him at that range, you don't let him wrestle up, and you can force someone into kind of a slow match where you can control that space, you can win a match at who's number one.
Yep.
All of these guys have the ability to have that kind of match if they play their cards right. And so that's why with the who's number one rule set, it gets finicky and gets funny for I think who can win it, because it's not necessarily like an ADCC or an IBJJF criteria. Yeah, it is its own criteria. So
yeah, I think it's wide open, but the three I would watch for would be Declan, Roberto, and Dante.
Yeah, I think those are your big ones.
And I must say, I'm kind of, if I'm rooting for one person in particular, I think I think Declan might do it, but I think I'm rooting for Dante the most because he's a little guy like me. I'm an Ohio boy. I know he's Canadian, but he lives in Ohio.
He's Ohio.
Trains in Ohio, so Buckeyes.
You got the Buckeye shirt
got
on.
The Buckeyes, man. OH. I mean, let's go.
You have a big Buckeyes tattoo on your.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, man. When
you wear the thin shirts when I was doing the podcast, and I look over when I'm editing. I'm like, and I color match for the tattoo, and then I use that when I'm color grading the podcast.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
all right.
So that's the heavyweight GP or the Openweight GP, which is a heavyweight GP if we're serious. So that'll be fun for all those guys and us. We might still. I'm gonna make a game day decision, by the way, the morning of the 24th if we're going to Pittsburgh or not.
All right.
Because it's like a 5.5 hour drive. My wife's like, her tattooist is up there, and she was like, if I would have known we were going, I would have booked another session. I'm like,
Makes
well,
sense, right?
we can see if you do it. Get a half.
That ride is all of 5 hours each way. Man.
It's a hike.
Yeah.
I was sick, so I couldn't go up last time when she had work done. So if we potentially go up, like we'll go, hey, I'll buy you the session, and then in the evening we'll go to who's number one, and she'll be like, okay, if I have to watch if I have to watch Achilles, I'll go and watch.
There you go. Happy wife, happy life, bro.
Yep, man, keep her happy. So let's move on. We have a couple other matches we're gonna talk about a little bit. Devhonte Johnson versus Gutemberg Pereira is also on this card. This is a rematch. Devhonte Johnson took the last one at BJJ Stars 10 in 2023. This was just a weird match, if I remember it correctly. I didn't go back and watch it because I think I do remember it correctly. It was just a classic Devhonte versus Gutemberg match of both guy kind of didn't do enough. And then there was a big moment where Devhonte sort of worked for a takedown, and that was it. And we all kind of left going, oh. For me, this is a very odd match to have a rematch on the main card. It just doesn't have excitement written on it whatsoever. Again, two of the guys they're both super high level guys, taking nothing away from their skill set. They just don't have a particularly friendly skill set from a viewership perspective. And I think this is gonna be the same match we saw last time, unless someone really decides to commit. I think this would be Devhonte, potentially with a little more activity in shooting. Gutenberg looking for the counter, but I think this is mostly going to be head-to-head on the feet and pushing.
Yeah. I kind of...
You disagree?
I don't disagree.
Okay.
I kind of hinted at this earlier talking about Achilles. He's one of those guys that's very inconsistent. And I mentioned there's someone else in this tournament that we're going to talk about a little later on, and that person would be Devhonte. When a man is on, he's on. When he's off, it's like, man, what happened there? So
the pacing, it's really a pacing thing.
But I think him recently, him from Aiga, we saw him recently.
Yeah, but then we saw him I think 2 weeks ago, and it was the same pace. Like that's the thing with Devhonte is when he decides to push it, he can do it, and he can win matches that way. He can blow guys out of the water.
Yeah.
But when he decides to win on a small margin, he'll win by a back take. He'll win by a snap on a turtle. He'll win by an extra shot. He'll put he can just have these matches at thin margins. And I think who's number one, the rule set is it facilitates you winning by a small margin if you do, because there's no incentive to push activity.
Correct.
And so given a rule set where Gutenberg and Devhonte are not incentivized to push activity, I don't think either of those guys will, because they've consistently shown that they won't, because they both win matches on low output. It's kind of the Elder Cruz problem.
I wonder if that call your sub applies to these super fights as well.
I don't know. I hope it does.
That would be cool.
I don't think it matters for this match, unfortunately.
You think so?
I don't.
I mean, depending on how much it is, bro, that might factor in.
That's a good point.
It
Depending on
might factor
how
in.
much it
Money
is.
talks, man.
If it's like $10,000, which I don't think it'll be that much.
Let's go.
But that could genuinely change the pacing. If there's there's an incentive to sub, then it really could for these guys. That
Do we
could
know
be
if
the
it's multiple
difference maker.
rounds, or we know if they think this is one round?
I
play a
think
factor
this is
into it.
usually one round, and it's scored individually across the 3 rounds. So it's probably 15 minutes, and then each 5-minute period is scored, and they go, if judges favor red, judges favor blue. Again, who's number one is relatively inconsistent for how they do it, so
that leads potentially into a very kind of slow match.
Yeah, when you come down 1-1, and then you finish it. But also, the guy who wins the first 2 rounds isn't necessarily the guy that wins the match, even though it's 3 rounds. So it's not. They have that weird scoring system where even if you're up 2 rounds, it's a favor. It's not you winning the actual rounds.
Correct. It's like at that moment you're ahead.
Which I actually kind of like from an aggregate scoring perspective. I kind of like, but I just think it's really weird because they show it on the broadcast with like, it looks like you've won rounds. And so then you go, well, you got one. It's like, yeah, because the match is scored as a whole.
Yes.
And so it's not actually rounds. It's just at that time who the judges are favoring for the match. So it's like, it's explained and shown really poorly on the broadcast from a viewer if you don't know that's how they do it.
Yeah.
But I actually don't have that much of a problem with, it's like the one championship. They score the match in aggregate. Even though they're rounds, you win in aggregate for the entirety of the fight. And so, like, I like that scoring system. It's just really hard to communicate it effectively on a broadcast. So, I have no pick here. Johnson won the last one. I kind of think he wins this one, but
I think so too. I think he pulls it out. I think we're gonna see a different Devhonte.
Okay.
I
hope, man.
That's my gut saying.
I hope we see the Aiga. I hope we see the Aiga Devhonte.
Yeah.
I hope we see it because if we do, he can win. I hope we see the Gutenberg that beats Margali at BJ Stars. I hope we see that guy. But
hot like fire. Let's go.
We'll see. Next one, we have an interesting matchup. We have Sarah Galal making her who's number one debut at black belt. This is written kind of funny. Been a black belt. She's already debuted at black belt. She was in CJI versus Trinity Pun. I think Sarah Galal is bigger than Trinity Pun.
I think so too. I think so.
Pun's good. Pun was real active from like 22, 21, even before that as well, through 23. And it's kind of, been a little less active recently. Sarah Galal, we've covered her because now she's a black belt. She's in these big women's tournaments. She's looked really good. We were talking about Trinity Pun had a very recent match versus Taylor Hishaw. You brought it up on the pre-show.
Yeah.
And I think Hishaw has 2 wins over Trinity Pun in the last couple of years. I think Sarah Galal is the pick here. I think Trinity is going to play from the bottom. I think Sarah Galal, that will play into well. I think it's going to look similar to the Cravar match they had in the gi.
Interesting.
Where it's that heavy pressure game. I think Galal will be hip to the leg entries that Pun wants to do.
Yeah.
Be hip to the wrestle up. And I just think we will just slow Trinity Pun down in a way to look for the sub. Again, Trinity Pun pulling out here, counter subbing, getting the back wouldn't surprise me either.
Sure.
But I think just given, I'm going to say it in a roundabout way, given the relationship that Who's Number One has with Andre Natos, it wouldn't surprise me for Sarah Galal to take this matchup, given the stylistic tendencies of both grapplers.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Like you said on the pre-show, I want to see Galal against Hishaw. If she's able to beat Trinity Pun, that's the next match I want to see.
Yeah, same here. Because Hishaw tends, looks like she has Pun's number.
Yeah, and
she's 2-0 against her.
And I just think the matchup, the things that Sarah Galal struggled with Cravar,
she'll struggle again with
Hishaw. I think Hishaw brings an angry pace and has like a level of feist to her that I think will be really interesting to pair against Sarah Galal. But again, Trinity Pun has the skills to get this. I think Galal tends to overcommit in the wrestling in places, and she tends to drive in really heavy in a way that I think Trinity Pun will struggle with, but then figure out. And I think Galal will have to make adjustments to deal with Trinity Pun kind of getting away from her.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I think Pun has a little bit more experience as black belt.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that might play into this as well. Who knows? You got the savvy the savvy pro versus the newly minted pro.
Yeah.
Even though Galval's coming out of Atos, she sees some monsters there every day, but it's different when you get out there and someone who's
competition at women's black belt. We've talked about it for
Just
years. That jump from like the men's top of the heap men's brown belt to men's black belt, it's a jump, but the level at top men's brown belt is very similar to the level at top men's black belt. Women have such a hard jump between top level women's brown belt, and then you run into like a 15-year competitive pro black belt woman. And like the on ramp there is just because there's so many fewer women in the sport.
Sure.
The depth of people at brown going to black and early black is just so minimal.
Yeah.
Where it's like you are immediately your first couple of matches at black belt suddenly competing against like the upper echelon champions of the black belt division, the women's divisions for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's just such a harder on ramp. So it's very interesting to watch women kind of navigate that transition. Sarah Galal going from, again, world champion brown belt into the world champion level at the black belt is just, it's always a really interesting kind of stepping stone to see how the women deal with it. We're also watching the same thing happen right now with Casamora as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, world champion, blue, purple, brown, and then coming to black and like
Yep.
looking very, very good.
But still kind of slow down just a little bit.
But having now some much, much more competitive matches with some top level women. So another interesting match, again, putting Sarah Gaval against Trinity Pun, who I think is a black belt. But I have a piece of one piece of news, one piece of information we looked at. So that's Trinity at brown, but I think that's incorrect. But it would be.
Yeah, I think she's a black belt.
I think she's been a black belt.
Yeah, I think she is too.
Could be wrong. Last match of the card that we are going to cover, we have Owen Jones versus Gavin Corey. I might get a chance to train with Owen Jones in Chattanooga.
That'd be
I'm
awesome.
going for work. I don't know.
Wow.
I may be training at Elijah Carlton's place. I'm not sure. I've had some folks trying to get us in contact, so I don't know yet. I think Owen's actually in Atlanta, and I'm only in Atlanta for a day because I got to drive to Chattanooga. It's a whole business trip thing. So I'm trying to figure out where I can train in Chattanooga and Atlanta if I do have time outside of work because the job is a little interesting. Gavin Corey, we know very well, local to us, standard, 45 minutes down the road from us. I've had the pleasure of commentating many of his matches for Copa Elite, Copa Virginia. Watched him and his brother, mostly actually him. His brother, I've watched his brother compete as well and commentated his brother's matches. Looked really good. He only loses to his brother at West Coast Trials.
That's crazy.
A year or 2 years ago.
Wow.
High level, looks good. We saw him at CJI too. He looked undersized because he was the 66 kilogram guy for the Misfits, which is understandable. You're going in as the guy expected to lose. You're a small guy. Owen Jones has had some really exciting performances versus guys like Gianni Grippo, versus Garenberg Igomov in ADCC, versus Gabriel Souza at ADCC. He had the fastest sub of ADCC 2024.
Yeah.
Also in the men's 66 kilogram
And
division.
he's only a brown belt. Technically, but you're only
brown
a brown belt, bro.
Yeah, he was a new purple belt when he won trials.
That's crazy.
And then has the fastest sub ADCC 2024. Just has been really impressive, and he is the real deal. So Gavin has his work cut out for him there. Again, Gavin has been.
And he wears the Ravens rash guard.
He does wear the Ravens rash guard. I love that. That Ray Lewis rash guard. I love it. So this is going to be. Gavin, I think, is more comfortable and confident passing. I think Owen's going to pull here. I think Owen has a really good armbar game off his back and has a really good leg lock entry game. I think Gavin has very competent leg locks, very defensively sound, but tends to be a little more, I think not cautious isn't the right word for Gavin.
Controlled, maybe?
Controlled, like measured. Yeah. Whereas Owen...
He's just going
will
gas.
Well, he'll pull you into the area you want. He reminds me of a lot of 2020, 2021 Jacob Couch, where like play, and boom, and then launch into like that inside reap and outside that game of like he's just gonna he's gonna walk you. Both Gabriel Souza and Garberg at ADCC, they were almost flash subs. You're like move on something like Owen's on something and going for it. I think Gavin has really, really high level defense. That's why guys had to grind him out at CJI for like the head and arm there. Like he wasn't, it was not easy to put away. But the speed that Owen operates is
can be daunting.
It's not unique at 66 kilos, but he is definitely one of the faster guys at 66 kilos.
Yeah. And
his ability to invert, like he is just a difficult guy to deal with. And if Gavin's not on his toes, I think he's going to make too much space and let Owen Jones work. Now, that being said, if Gavin, again, knows what Owen brings to the table, inside knee cuts out there, pressure down, if he can slow Owen Jones down a little bit, Gavin gets his own game going. How much time can Gavin spend on top? How much can he implement his wrestling? How much can he implement his passing?
Sure.
And then can he win just a standard decision on the top? Or can he catch Owen Jones in an overcommit for like a triangle, for an arm bar, get to the back, ride time in the back, and he get a sub? Like I lean Owen Jones here because I just think that he has a game that is more suited to winning in the who's number one rule set.
Sure.
That's the real reason I lean Owen Jones, not necessarily because like I favor him in Corey versus like ADCC. I may still for different reasons, but I think in the who's number one rule set, Owen is just going to be more sub active
Okay.
and Gavin is going to be more active in the passing. And I think the judges will favor the guy with looking for more subs and looking that way more so than the passer. And I think Owen's going to pull first.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Gavin play off his back. But I think that Owen is going to like come into the legs there and force a counter, and Gavin is more comfortable passing.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the dynamics of the match that I think will be for both guys.
I mean, if Gavin's proven that he's more wrestle heavy. So
Yeah.
will Owen want to stand with him initially? Who knows? Owen Jones, I've seen him do stand up and fight for the takedown initially, but we've seen him pull guard more often than not.
Yeah, and
Right.
we've seen him
Especially-
sub guys off his back. Like that's
Yeah,
he
yeah.
seems very comfortable there.
So it depends on what kind of game Gavin Corbett comes with. Owen seems like he can kind of just play from anywhere.
Yeah,
But-
it's sort of happy to play from anywhere.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, that's gonna be one of those questionable matches as well.
It'll be. I like it from a matchmaking perspective. I think it's a
Yeah.
really good match to make because it's again two guys. Owen's a trials winner for North America, and he has gone at the North American trials winners because some of them have given him shit for winning the easier trials, and then he made that very clear that nope, I'm actually just that good, man. It doesn't matter what trials I won if it was the less attended trials or whatever. I'm
Mic drop.
absolutely on the level of the North American champions, and I like that. I like him kind of putting his money through his mouth and
there you
showing
go.
that he really was that guy.
Yeah.
So
He's a dog, man.
so that is it for who's number one. Again, should be fun. We have some undercard matches as well. Those are usually a lot of fun. Let's move into the real quick recap of finishers. Unless you have anything else on who's number one. We talked a little about the sub, about the cash for the
Call your
sub. I think we kind of went through that. We were going to have a kind of a discussion about how that influences where guys are going to play and how they're going to play, and we had kind of a larger discussion for rule sets. But I think that's probably better saved for a better day, unless you have any points that we didn't
that could
make.
be a whole hour right there. It really could.
Rule set discussions. I love
Yeah.
it. So
I mean, yeah, future episode, right?
yeah, we have an off week. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the finishers. Finishers had some matches this weekend. 4 title fights on the line. First one we're going to talk about is 185-pound interim title. Nick Willie from Sharpshooters. We actually went up here on Monday because I had Dima Monteverdi in town. I'm going to butcher Dima's last name. Dima.
Dima.
It was great. I got to do one of the 2 seminars that he did up there. Super interesting seminar. Got a lot out of it and some terminology and some verbiage. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna steal that with how he kind of develops and structures his games for like constraints learning. It was very interesting, and I got a lot out of it. And it was Miranda and I actually worked together for the entire day. And so it was cool for a couple hours to work through passing, and Miranda got to work through passing on me, and it was really interesting. So he's on Sharpshooters, and versus Renee Souza. This was Nick, I think, getting 3 or 4 takedowns, Renee sitting out, and then on the 4th takedown, Nick went to tack away, push on Renee's hips. Renee inverted, just gets a hold of the leg for longer. Nick can't get out. Nick goes to stiff arm, push the leg, almost clears the leg. Well, Renee is then able to pummel through, get the heel hook, and that was a finish. It was essentially, it was in Nick's court there with the takedowns until Renee was able to do what Renee does so well, which is, hey man, I'm gonna be here, and then eventually you are gonna make like an error, you're gonna leave something there, and I'm gonna take it. You're gonna pass, you're gonna get complacent, I'm gonna buggy choke you, you're gonna leave a leg there, I'm gonna take it. Like that is just Renee Souza's game, and he does it very well. He's now the interim title holder for the 185-pound title at finishers. We had a 155-pound title as well for the ladies, Madeline Avila versus Sarah McGreen. We went to decision. We had a 205-pound title from Sergio Vilas versus Matt Cantwell. Super close match. I thought
That was a back and forth. Man.
It was back and forth. Matt wins the second round. It was split.
Yeah.
So this, I think, the final was 86-85. Again, I like how finishers does their scoring. It was very nice to see. So you could see it was close, and you knew, in the finals how close it was. So it's 3 rounds. They score each round individually for judging. Sergio gets a little tired in the second round.
Yeah, I think he does.
Takes his foot off the gas.
Yeah. But
really, it's him winning the first round and the third round in close fashion. I think there was one of the rounds I was surprised that Sergio didn't win outright. It was a split, and I was a little surprised about that. So I would have had Sergio for this at 87 to 80 87 to 84.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, no, that's open. But again, it was close. Sergio looked very good initially. Again, when he's on, man, he moves very well. He had a really nice.
Though. It's not like he hit that wall after a while.
Yeah, it just we've seen him kind of consistently have some problems maintaining pace in longer matches where he tends to get real tired. And then he'll push through but he needs that second wind. It's an interesting kind of consistency in the structure of his game. He comes out really quickly and he'll do amazing work, but really once Matt can't there's a really nice sequence where Sergio gets the back, he has a body triangle, he's looking for the sub, and then Matt spins through, gets back to the guard, and then the round ends, and then the second round, you see Sergio just sort of can't get into his groove again, and Matt puts more of a pace on him, and Sergio has kind of played more defensive guard, gets his back taken very briefly. It's just an interesting kind of piece of Sergio's game. But he wins this. Yeah. He takes it. He is now the 205-pound title holder. I think he's been the 205-pound title holder at finishers. But I know Sergio has a couple belts. I'm always blanking on what belts regional guys have. Because Sergio's local to us. He's probably 45 minutes away. He's down at Crazy 88 in Laurel. So close to us as well.
It's crazy. It's crazy. They had him coming out of Henzo's in New York, and they kept flashing on the screen.
Well, I think he's a dual guy. I think he does actually he does actually rep both guys, but I know him as an 88 guy for us because he has a very specific rash guard that those guys wear locally to us. But again, got multiple guys rep different spots. We also had your 145-pound title. We had
Nick DiGiacomo.
Yeah, you were getting that on the pre-show, and I was like, I'm going to have you say that last name versus Josh Flores. This was fun. I just want to talk about the finish here. Basically, we had 6 roll throughs?
Yeah, 5 or 6.
And Josh was just hunting. 3. Basically, Nick drops down for a leg lock in the not double seated open guard. It was sort of like a modified single leg X, like inside outside position. And he drops back, and you see Josh go, "Oh, cool." Counter drops into the leg again, and then digs the heel, and you see Nick go, okay, and Nick immediately starts to roll, and these guys roll 5.5 times across the entire, and it was beautiful camera tracking.
They just go.
You roll, and then Corey and I frame by framed it to watch exactly what was happening with the leg position. It's really just Josh tracks the roll. And eventually on the last roll, he throws his leg under so that Josh can't essentially boot the leg over and force him to roll again to heel slip inside. And then Josh gets to just open leg, hip up, and he bumps his hip up and out to basically force the knee high so that Josh can't finish the roll. And there's an open air heel hook right into the camera. He gets the tap and takes the title.
Yeah,
it was a really nifty finishing sequence. And again, I love watching counter leg locks. I love live by the sword, die by the sword matches. It's kind of a little PJ Barch.
Barch,
you try to heel hook PJ Barch, he goes, "Oh, really?" And then just counter. I love those matches, all the matches with him and Canuto and him and Elijah Dorsey, those kind of back and forth. That's what this match reminded me of. Just you have Nick drop for the heel hook, and it looked. I think it was a heel hook. Could have been a straight ankle too, but it looked like a heel hook. And then the finisher's rule set, probably a heel hook.
You couldn't really tell because Nick's back was to the camera, so you really couldn't tell too much what was going on there.
So, but it was funny. So that was finishers. Again, some great matches. I really love what finishers is doing out there. Again, the card's 2 hours on Flow. You can watch through it. There's commercials in it, so you can pull through the matches pretty quickly. It was a lot of fun to watch, but that's all I got. You got anything fun, Corey? Anything fun going on? Anything else you want to cover here?
No. I think I said nothing else really fun going on. Trying to get my sleep, man. I'm an old man.
Yeah, I got
trying to train as much as I can and sleep as much as I can, and they kind of counteract one another.
I got a long day tomorrow. We're gonna train, but it's a little late now. But yeah, it's gonna be an early then a long day for me. I'm gonna go straight from the field into coaching. So goodness. Basically tomorrow's gonna be a 5 a.m. to hopefully be home at 10 p.m.
Wow.
So it's gonna be a long day. So I'm gonna put the podcast out in the next hour, and then hopefully take a nap and go to sleep. Take a nap for a couple hours and get up.
There you go.
So it'll be good. So that's all I got. We may or may not be going to Pittsburgh. in 5 days or 4 days at this point. That'll be a game day decision Saturday morning, most likely. Of like, rough, like, hey, you want to go Pittsburgh? And she'll go. Yeah, we'll go. And then or she'll look at me and go, no, give me coffee. I'm like, okay.
There you go.
So one of those two things will happen, but
Follow her lead, bro.
I will definitely follow her lead. Is there anything else?
Nope.
All right. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, the co-host,
Corey.
and we have the Grappling Events. No matter what it is, stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
Let us know.
reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.